Hey music lovers, this is Isaac over at the Blind Island. Been a hot minute since the last time that I brought you a video. Figured, it's been a while and gotten some really awesome records since the last time we spoke, and I figured I'd share just a smattering of them. I'm not going to share everything that I've gotten just because I'd be here talking for a half hour and don't really feel like doing that. Just would rather speak and share what I have, and yeah, you can take it as it is. So let's get started. That's good. First up, we have Kendra Morris, Banshee. This was released on the Wax Poetics label, back when Wax Poetics was really at the height of their game, one of the best music publications out there. They're still going. I believe that they are starting to release physical subscriptions again. But if you're looking for actual music journalism, go to Wax Poetics. Stop wasting your time with Pitchfork. And I mean, if you're looking at Rolling Stones, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But yeah, Wax Poetics used to have their own record label. And Kendra Morris, who has been featured with other artists such as Czarface, the Misha Pamphilov, Sound Combo. I believe that there are a couple of others. She's been sampled on multiple hip-hop albums, but she's an amazing soul, R&B, funk artist in her own right, and this album is just killer. I love everything on this. Some of the best tracks on here would be the song Here, Old Photos, Concrete Wave really gives me a lot of Lynchian feels. It's just really killer record, and I'd highly recommend it. If you're into Amy Winehouse, this is going to be really up your alley, so give it a shot. And next, it's the first great album of 2022. This is the Diasonics, Origin of Forms. This is a Russian instrumental funk group, but they bring in so many world elements. This reminds me a lot of Al Michaels Affair, Yeti Season from last year, but it even has more of that Eastern element. I believe that they call it Hussar Funk, and this is just an amazing album. Like, if you look at that artwork, it's a person whose mind is being opened to maybe a higher plane, and that is definitely how I feel when I'm listening to this music. So yeah, give this one a listen if you're wanting to maybe listen to some instrumental funk that's a little bit outside of your wheelhouse. Next, great album by a group called Ixtawele, I think that's how you pronounce it. But this is Eden Abez's Dharmaland. It sounds like a dreamland, but it's actually Dharmaland. Now, the story of this album is very intriguing and super interesting. This is a modern-day contemporary group, really into exotica, psychedelic music, mostly instrumental. But what they did is they found the charts for Eden Abez's unfinished second album. Eden Abez was best known for being the author of the song Nature Boy, but for Nat King Cole. He came out with an album, only one, and then he kind of became a wanderer throughout the rest of his days. But he did create the chart music for this record, and found many years later, and they basically do a reproduction of it verbatim, even using the same instruments that Eden Abez had played when he was alive. And it is so beautiful. It's transcendent. It's definitely takes you to a time and a place that may never have even existed, that may only exist in the hearts and minds of those who are truly pure and want to escape all the crap of the world. But this is an amazing record. If you're looking for an Oasis album, this is the album to definitely check out. Definitely would have made my top 10 list of 2021 if I had known about that. Next, another one that I missed in 2021. This is Lady Blackbird, Black Acid Soul. Now, you're looking at that cover and you're looking at this label. You're like, oh, this is going to be acidic funk. You would be very misinformed, my friend, because this is just a solid, jazz vocal record. This is bringing me back to giving me heavy Nina Simone vibes, giving me heavy Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan vibes. It basically is just a very small, stripped back, 3-4 piece band, acoustic set, and just letting her vocals to be the star. And what syrupy, golden, dark, rich vocals they are. This album is a cooker. And if you let this one slip by in 2021 like I did, they're finally available to be purchased here in the States. So if you can go to your local record store, I went to mine, I got my copy for $20. I would really recommend that you go and see how long these are going to be available, because it is an import, and I don't know how long they're going to be on the shelves. Next, this is one that really went under the radar. I saw this kind of floating around in the Instagram sphere and listened to it. I couldn't find it on Spotify. I think that you can find it on YouTube, but I found it on Bandcamp, and wow, giving me major Pharoah Sanders vibes. This is Michael Stewart, The Blessing. And this, definitely reminds me of Pharoah Sanders as peak. Just really beautiful, spiritual jazz, and released on a small label in Canada. They were still for sale on Bandcamp, $25 Canadian, but the shipping is what gets you. But I highly recommend that you pick up a copy while you still can, because this is going to be an insanely expensive collector item after the copies are gone. They are starting a reissue series from my understanding, but it's just so cool to have an original copy that he literally had dozens of sealed copies from the 80s that never sold. And it's such a shame, because stuff like this is deserving of praise, deserving of our attention, and I'm glad that he's finally getting the recognition that he deserved all those years ago. All right, so let's start moving. That was kind of the newer stuff. That was used, but it was mint, so I don't really consider that. Now let's start moving on to the used material. And this is a guy that I have just recently been finding more and more to love about. It's got a thick layer of cheese, but it's the type of cheese that I enjoy munching on. And that is Bob James 3. One of the most sampled artists in jazz fusion for hip-hop of all time. Bob James 3. This is, I think his first 4 albums are all fantastic. If you're looking for just really good, slick jazz funk fusion, Bob James 1, 2, 3, and 4 are really worth what. This one has an amazing funky version of One Mint Julep. Westchester Lady on here has been sampled by dozens of artists. You just listen to this and it makes you feel good. And I just really have found an appreciation for Bob James and what's wonderful about his records. Except for the first two are starting to rise up in value, but 3 and 4 you can still find easily in bargain bins anywhere for around $3 to $5, and get them also in incredibly good shape. This is one that I really, really recommend. Just an amazing artist, really great jazz keys, and if you like fusion, if you like your fusion with a little bit of cheese, then you're going to really enjoy Bob James 3. Now, this is one that I got in the mail just a couple of weeks ago, and was turned on to it by a buddy of mine, Brad. He is just such a jazz head. Love everything that he's recommended to me. But, you know, I've always enjoyed this artist, but never really listened to this before we had a conversation. And man, this is good stuff. This is Bobby Hutcherson, Head On. And this is an original 1972 copy. I think it came out in 72. Don't quote me. But yeah, this is just solid, very heady fusion. A lot of people compare it to Bitches Brew. I would not use that comparison. It's not good, but it is kind of more like in a silent way. It definitely goes out there at times, but it's still very grounded. And Bobby's vibes are just so haunting. And he's just really laying it down thick, creating a mood, creating a vibe. Get it? Because he's a vibraphonist. And he's creating a vibe. Yeah. But this is an amazing album. And if you haven't given it a shot, or if you've been like, vibraphone, I'm not really into that, listen to this and then tell me what you think after that, because it is really cool. Next, this was a find out in Las Vegas when I went to go visit my dad, and wow, what an amazing album. This was released on the Tone Poet series this past year, and really happy to find an original copy. This is McCoy Tyner's Tender Moments. This is McCoy Tyner probably surrounded by a bigger band for the first time as a band leader, and you can really hear him starting to stretch out, starting to feel himself as a band leader. And you can hear the echoes of where he'd be going in the 70s with releases like Sahara. And it's beautiful, it's wonderful, but also like it's not as aggressive as those milestone releases. There's just beauty on this album, and none of the tunes on here wound up becoming standards, but geez, it really, Tender Moments is a great title for this album. It is full of tender moments and things that you will not want to miss. Now this one I found at an antique mall. I literally gasped when I saw it because it is an original pressing, stereo, again released on the Analog Productions Verve series for Impulse this past year. It's Sonny Rollins on Impulse. Found this copy for $11. This is a VG Plus copy, and oh boy, does it sound good. I have a, less than popular opinion that Sonny Rollins is the greatest saxophonist of all time. Just when you hear his albums, you hear his tone, and you're like, that is Sonny Rollins. And everything he did for the Impulse label was fantastic. There was not a single bad record that he did. I think he only came out with 3 albums, so this was in his second period renaissance, and he's just hit his stride. Every single thing that he does is phenomenal, and this is no different. This completes my Impulse trilogy. I have all 3 on original copies of his Impulse releases, and just so happy to have it. This is a pretty straight ahead set, and if you're looking for just a solid Sonny Rollins record, go and listen to this. Go get the reissue. You will not be disappointed. Now we're getting into the heavy hitters, more of a, I don't know, grail, if you will. But this is an odd one. This is also found in Vegas. This is Captain Beefheart's Safe as Milk. Captain Beefheart is one of my favorite artists of all time. This has been high on my want list for a really long time. And what's strange about this is that this has all the markings and indications of an original pressing. This is an original stereo press. And even the matrix numbers let me believe that it is an original stereo press. However, it has the Kaleidoscope label, which is a reissue label. However, even on the reissue label, it has the matrix numbers for the original stereo pressing. So which leads me to believe that this record has one of the most storied uh, histories of just a completely botched rollout. There are so many different pressing variants, there are so many different errors that were made with this record, and Captain Beefheart became so disenfranchised by this that he refused to work with Buddha Records after this. So I'm going to go with the fact that this is an original pressing that was later repurposed for a reissue. But man, I'm super happy to have this in the collection. Just a great album. And then this one, I literally almost pooped myself when I found this. Another antique mall find. Found this for $12. And this is Pete Larocca's Turkish Women at the Bath. This is an original stereo pressing. I don't know what the guy was thinking having this out there for $12. This is easily, there is one track where there's a scuff that causes some clicks, but even with that, this is still easily a $70 album. This is so beautiful. Pete Larocca is just one of those artists, those drummers that you just never see out in the wild. You never see his original material. You only get those reissues. And even Turkish Women at the Bath isn't nearly as popular as La Basra. And this is actually also a very early date for a very young Chick Corea, and he is laying it thick on the keys here. It is really, really good, and I can't believe that I found a copy of this for only $12. It is easily the best find of 2022 thus far, and we'll see what tops it, but it'll be very hard to top this. So guys, that's just a picking of what I've found recently. Anything in here that really piqued your interest, go and listen to this stuff. Most of it can be found on YouTube. Expand your minds, try new things, listen to new music, and yeah, just thanks so much for watching, those of you who have interest to watch, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Cheers.